Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Go Call Your Sister. We're so excited to be back with you after our mental health week off.
I feel like we haven't done a podcast in like a month. Like the past 2 weeks have just felt like such a blur.
I know we definitely have been like kind of banking content. We've been having to record before your travels. So I feel like we're just not up to date on anything. And I feel like it's been a really long time since we've actually podcasted in real time.
It really has. And I really love our episodes where we're like very timely because it's fun for me to catch up with you. And I feel like we haven't even had a chance to really catch up because we've both been in such different directions. So I'm glad that we have this time together, Bird.
Yeah, obviously, as you guys noticed, because we saw your comments and your DMs, we did not have an episode last week, which literally pains me greatly because I look forward to podcasts coming out. I know that people are always looking for it on Tuesday, and it just like hurt me physically not to put one out last week. But sometimes you just need a mental health week off, and that's what we had to do. We're
It
back.
was
Don't
physically
worry.
impossible for us to put an episode out last
It
week, I would
was.
say. Physically
It
impossible.
was. It was physically and mentally impossible to put an episode out
Yeah.
last week.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Bird, what are the updates on your end? I'm glad that you've had a good mental health week and hopefully you're feeling refreshed and rejuvenated.
Yeah, so I was at home in Oxford. I do want to put it on record that I did bring my microphone home. Like, I just want to put that out on public record. Like,
Of
I had
course.
full intentions of being ready to record. It just didn't align for our travel schedules.
I
Um,
just want to say that I have upgraded my microphone and sound system. I have a sound interface. I still like really don't know what that is, but it's this box that sits on my desk now where you can adjust the sound. It's way above my pay grade. So I can't really travel with that. So there's that.
well, it's not stopping you. Like, you weren't traveling with it before when you had the portable microphone. I don't know why you're acting like this is like a new development.
Well, now I physically cannot travel with it. So all the expectations are gone.
Yeah. So, anyways, I did have my microphone, but I went home last week. I was home for like 9 days. I actually went home earlier than I thought I was going to. I changed my flight around and I was home from like Tuesday morning to Wednesday. So, like a week and a day. Um, and it was really great for me. Like, I'm such a homebody. I love being with our family. I feel like being at home is like where I'm recharged and re regulated and like get back on my feet. And I was just kind of going through a period of time where I was struggling a little bit and I needed just to like get rejuvenated. And so I just like fled the state of California and took myself right home, which something about me is I'm like not afraid to pull the eject button. Like if I am not like comfortable where I am and I need to like leave that place, I will leave. Like I literally changed my flight in the middle of the night, decided I wanted to go home and I did that. And I'm so glad that I did because, you know, being in Oxford is just such a like comfortable, happy place for me. And it was Easter, obviously. So I already planned on being home. And I just feel like every time I go home, like mom and dad just like put me back together and like send me on my way, like better than they found me. And I'm so grateful to have like a family unit that operates in that way. Like I can literally go to them in like any state and they're like, okay, like we can work with this. Like this is going to be great. And so, yeah, I just kind of took a week to like regroup and recharge. And I feel so much better. Like it was so sunny.
Yeah.
The weather in California was like shit over Easter. So being home in Oxford, it was just sunny. We were having pool days. Like getting to be with Honey and Dolly was just the best. And I also fit in like every appointment I could ever do while I was home because I just have an
Every time I
aversion.
talked to you, you were at some appointment, like a hair appointment, a Botox appointment. Like every time I talked to you while you were home, you were getting something done.
Yeah, because like I just it's hard. Like when you move to a new place, I know you guys can resonate with this. Like trying to find a new everything is hard. Like it was so hard to find a new OBGYN. And guess what? She just announced her retirement. I've been to her once and she just
This has
announced that
happened a
she's
lot to you. Like when you
I
found the
know.
therapist who's moving.
Yes. Oh my that has been, I mean, just that has been really tough.
I mean, you
But
might as well just not even search for people because they're either going to like retire or leave.
yeah, that is so sad. That is like a painful sentence. But yeah, it is it's really difficult. And so when I'm going home and if I know I'm home for an extended period of time, I'll just kind of like fit it all in. And I know it's not realistic to like my adult life. Like I plan on living in California. I do not plan on living in Oxford, but like it's just easier. Like I can call the dentist. Like my retainer, like I said, was broken and I just couldn't find anyone here. So I did like a dentist appointment, 2 facials, Botox, hair. And so I just feel like I came back
Wait,
like
2 facials. What facials did you get?
I got a facial. So I've been struggling with like this really crazy breakout like over in the fall and like over Christmas. It's kind of gotten better in the last few months, but I have some like scarring that's left behind from it. So I did it was just kind of like basically one facial that we split into 2 days because we just had a lot of stuff we needed to do. So I did like a facial and then some kind of like light treatment on one day. And then the second day, I did dermaplane and another like little light treatment. And it was so funny because when I was at the facial, like I was just has been so tired, like kind of like mentally exhausted. So I fell asleep during both of my facials and she had me under this like it was like when you get your nails done and your hands are in the gel light, but it's just like over your head. And so I would wake up and I would just be like, where am I? And I'd be like under this light and then hit my head on the light. And I was just like, oh my gosh. But it was great. And so I feel like I came back to California. I got back on Wednesday. Yeah, like morning. My flight was so early. I left Oxford so early, but I feel like I got back like a brand new person. Like I'm ready to take on the world. My hair is long as fuck. I feel better and I'm just ready to conquer the day, you know?
I love that for you. I feel like you were rested and ready. That's awesome.
Yeah, I was honestly considering going short with my hair, which like
Oh
something about me is
god.
like I know I change my hair lengths like a couple times a year because like I have
Why if
extensions.
you're
So
already struggling, like, why would you think I'm gonna chop my hair off? You've
well, yeah,
been down that road
that
before.
was the thought process. Like I was going to do it, and then I was like, am I in the mental state right now to chop my hair like and do short? Because
No.
like in the moment it feels like a sleigh. Like when you're at the salon, you're like, oh yeah, this looks good. But I was like, I need like the strength of like 22-inch extensions
That's
right
what I've
now.
been thinking about because I keep seeing all these Instagram posts about like how it's short hair girl season and like all of these chops that are happening. And I'm like, yeah, it looks great, when this like celebrity hairstylist does it and takes photos in the salon. But how about in the morning when you wake up and you look like a freaking yield sign because your curls are just like all scrunched up and it looks horrible.
Yeah, I don't know. I resonate with like Samson in the Bible. His strength comes from his hair, and that's how I feel about myself. And I needed that confidence boost. And yeah, I'm feeling really really slay coming back with my long hair. And I got back to my cute little like retirement community where I live in San Diego. I don't even know if I've talked about that on here. Like I live basically in a retirement community. My neighbors are like 75 plus. And I was walking in from the airport and my neighbors were like, your hair looks so beautiful. And I was like, thank you. So it's been nice just to get back in my home base and get back in routine. How was your little sabbatical?
Yeah, I have had a journey as well. I This week has been so draining, honestly, getting back into a routine. Like I feel like I need a vacation from my vacation and like coming back from it. But, I can't complain. It's all good stuff. We went to New York. We started off in New York. We flew there for Mario's birthday weekend. We had a really long weekend and honestly, it was so cold when we got there. I had to get out my fur. It was freezing. And other than that, like, we just enjoyed it though. Like, yes, it was cold, but we got up and we walked around every day. Like, that's the thing that Mario loves to do the most is just get up and explore the city. And we got like 30,000 steps every day, which was incredible. My Aura Ring is just loving reminding me how much I'm slacking being home. My charts are like sky
Yeah.
high and then like significant drop. But yeah, we really went with like no major plans. We saw a couple of Broadway shows. We went to The Lion King and The Book of Mormon. And he's fully vegan now, which is very different than past trips to New York. So we, did a lot of research on vegan restaurants there and tried some new places that we ended up really loving. And yeah, it was a really great trip. And he felt very celebrated. And from there, I flew to St. Thomas for a wedding. Lindsay, who was on the podcast the week before this past week, last week, I guess, she got married there, and it was incredible, like so beautiful. Everything was just gorgeous. very low key. We got there on a Tuesday, and then Wednesday we rented a boat for her bachelorette slash 30th birthday. So it was like all things in one, which was really nice. But it was it was like all of our friends. We all stayed in the same neighborhood, which was really fun. We could just walk to each other's houses, and it was honestly just stunning. Like everything was beautiful from start to finish.
It looked so beautiful. It looked amazing. I also saw that Alex Earl was in St. Thomas with her family while you were there. Did you see her by
Yeah, a
chance?
lot of celebrities go there. A lot Taylor Swift was actually just staying in St. John like a couple weeks before we got there with Travis, which I
With
mean,
Trav?
you know how much I died when I heard that. But it's I will say though, it's kind of a trek to get to. Like you fly into St. Thomas, which was 4 hours from JFK, and then I was with my friend Palmer who was also flying from New York, but then we had to catch a cab to the ferry, which was 45 minutes. And then from the ferry, we had to get another cab to take us to our house. So it was like planes, trains, and automobiles. But it was worth it by the time we got there, for sure.
Yeah, traveling to remote destinations like that can honestly be such a bitch. Like when you can't just fly in and directly be there, and all those little islands, it's kind of that way. And so I'm glad you guys made
Yeah,
it.
but
There was
it was beautiful. And I mean, considering the amount of travel we had to do, like everything really flowed so easily. It could have gone wrong like so many times. I did have a friend whose luggage got lost, and that's a whole different story, but she ended up getting it at some point in the trip. But yeah, it was really nice. And honestly, it hit me there that like my friends were talking about like taking time off and like their bosses. And I really had a moment there like where I realized, hey, like I work for myself. Like I don't have a boss. I am
mhm.
answering to no one. And it hit me when we were on the boat day, just like people talking about their jobs and stuff. And, not that working for yourself is for everyone. Some people don't want to do that. But for me, it's like what I always wanted to do. Like I didn't care if I was, running a lawn business or, selling books or whatever it was. Like I just knew that when someone asked me what I wanted to do, my answer was to work for myself. And now that I'm doing it and doing it successfully, like it just really hit me and made me really appreciative of this phase of life I'm in.
Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking about the same exact thing when I was fleeing the state of California. I was like, it's just so nice to not have to like inform anyone on like my coming and going. And obviously I'd like shift some stuff around. I had a court appearance that I was gonna miss because I decided to go home early. Got to do that virtually. And it was a really interesting experience. I felt like I was watching like a court show TV, like a court TV show because I was just chilling on a screen, like watching everyone go until they called my name. But I was just like, that's the freedom in working for yourself because you can choose to just like, go wherever you want. And it's really opened up a lot of possibilities for me. I'm like, oh, maybe I could go spend a month here. I can go, you know, on this trip. And it's really opened it up for me as
Yeah.
well.
And, that's something that Mario and I both share. He also has his own business. And so it is really, really nice to have that flexibility. It's not all like sunshine and rainbows, though. Like there are challenges that come with that. Like you don't have a set amount of income that you're going to get every month. You have to stay on top of your schedule and like make sure that you're working and, set those boundaries up for yourself. And it was nice to be reminded of that because sometimes when I'm like so in the day to day of it, I kind of lose sight of that. So it was really good. And honestly, like I came back from the trip. So I went to St. John and then from there I flew back to New York because honestly, it was cheaper to fly to and from St. Thomas from JFK and then fly back to Nashville than to buy a flight from Nashville. I don't know what it
Hmm.
was, but like flying from Nashville was just insane. So that's a travel hack. Always look for cities and then do connecting flights or do like separate flights. It makes it a lot easier. We've talked about that before. But anyway, so I ended up flying back to New York and met Mario there, and we spent Easter there, and it was a beautiful day. We went to see Zach Bryan Easter Sunday night, which was so good.
I do want you to tell about how you guys like exited a church service on Easter Sunday because I was kind of shook by
Oh
that.
yeah, we did. So Easter, we got up. So I flew in Saturday night, and it was so cute. Mario was waiting for me. He sent a driver to get me at the hotel, or he sent a driver to get me at the airport, and then he was waiting outside the hotel. He had all of my favorite snacks and drinks, and a cute little note set
Ugh,
up because he knew I had just
King.
been like traveling all day and was exhausted, and we ended up like ordering room service and just like watching a movie. And it's so like nice to be known by someone. So that was really fun. He wasn't able to go to the wedding. He had some work things that came up. So he had to go to Chicago. But anyway, so I came back on Saturday, and then Sunday we woke up and our plan was to go to church and then go to brunch and just kind of have like a low key Easter until the concert. But we went to church, and it was this church that's like a affiliate of our church here in Nashville that we go to. Um, and it was so just like bad. Like the music was fine, the music was good. And then we get to the sermon, and the preacher starts like just like tearing people apart,
Shit
like during this
talking.
major shit talking. Like Huberman is one of like my favorite podcasts, Huberman Lab. He talks a lot about like health and wellness and biohacking. And there was this article that came out about him being like a womanizer. He's, you know, an attractive man in his like late 30s, early 40s, I think. And it just kind of talks about like the women that he had dated. Like it sounded like maybe he just like wasn't into these women and they were angry with him. Like I don't really know the
Okay, well,
details.
that's
I
why he doesn't run a dating podcast. Like,
Exactly. Exactly. Like it was just kind of like it felt like someone had just had something against him and wanted to, you know, take him out in some way. But anyway, the preacher, like the pastor ends up like showing this article on the big screen. And we were both like, what in the world? Like, this is so, like, it doesn't even go along with the sermon. And like, what if he walked into this service and was like, yep, today's the day. It's Easter. I'm going to try, you know, to give God a shot. And then his picture is up on the big screen, like being torn apart. Like,
that
so
is just
horrible.
so shitty to me. Like, and I'm glad you guys just left because, like, I don't know, it's hard, you know, getting anyone in the door to go to church. Like, people have so many like preconceived notions, and people have experienced like church hurt and things like that. Like, they go one time and they have a bad experience and they like write it off, or it's just not for them. But Easter Sunday, especially, is like one of the one day, or really like the one day of the year that a lot of people will like go to a church service. And so, I feel like you should use that time to like really spread the message of like love and, you know,
Yeah. Especially on
not
Easter. Like,
shit talking. That's like the craziest thing.
yeah, and that was strike one. And then he starts talking about how dumb he thought everyone was during COVID and like how stupid everyone acted. And I was like, oh my God, like, can we not just hear about Jesus dying on the cross? Like, what are you talking about? And so Mario just gets up and leaves and did not tell me he was leaving. And so I'm just sitting there like, I text him, I'm like, are you coming back? And he's like, oh no, like, I'm over it. I'm done. And so then I had to like gather up all of our things, like the water bottles we had, and like my purse, and just leave. I've
Why
never done
why
that
didn't he
before.
tell you? Why didn't he whisper in your ear like, "Hey, I'm leaving. Like, let's space it out a little bit."
Maybe
Like,
he tried
what
to,
were
and
you
like
going to
I just didn't
do?
hear. I don't know. I don't know. So we left and ended up going to get a cookie croissant, a cookie, which I had been dying to try. So I think that it was a win-win. But yeah,
Is
really
that
shitty church
vegan?
experience.
Is a crookie vegan?
No,
Doesn't
no, a
sound
cookie is
vegan.
not vegan. So I ate most of it, I will say.
Mm.
But I was proud of him. He did great. He really stuck to the veganism. He's actually like down 30 pounds, which is crazy.
Wow,
Yeah,
I'm so proud of
yeah.
him. I mean, I
His pants are like falling
literally
off.
men just lose weight like so quickly. It's like sickening,
Yeah,
but I'm so
yeah.
proud of him.
Yeah, he's taking it really seriously. And I mean, we used to eat so much sushi. Like we would go to New York and just like eat sushi back to back, and like not being able to do that was very different. But we found some really great vegan spots, like I mentioned. And yeah, we stuck to it, minus a couple of Chip City cookies. If you're ever in a city where there's a Chip City, like my one of my dreams in life is to franchise a Chip City. Have you been to Chip City?
I have not been to Chip City.
Holy shit. It is the best cookie in the entire world. Like I have never eaten anything better. Um, I ate one just about every day that we were in New York.
I thought you had a different favorite New York bakery that you took me and mom to.
Levain, no, that's
Yeah.
been surpassed by Chip City.
Wow. Chip
Yeah.
City. Heard it here first. Okay, I'll have to try that out. I'm glad you
Yeah.
guys
So
had such a good
that's
time.
where we got the cookie too. It was really good. 10 out of 10 recommend. I know they have them
Now
in
I
New
want a
York,
cookie.
Miami, some other places. I don't think they're on the West Coast yet, so stay tuned.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you guys had such a good time. I'm glad the wedding was good. I was definitely really jealous of your tropical adventures.
I will say though, like, so we were gone for a total of, I think, like 11 days. And I totally understand. Like, I used to, when people who had kids, like, were talking about how they didn't want to leave their kids or they didn't want to travel, I could never understand that. Like, in my mind, I'm like, if someone's offering to keep my kid, like, peace out, goodbye, see you never. And I really missed Goldie. Like, I kind of understand it. Like, I kind of get it now.
Yeah, was she bigger when you got back? Did she look different?
Yes, we walked in. Of course, she TT'd all over herself with excitement, but she was good. One of Mario's friends stayed at our house and watched her the whole time, and so we got some pictures and updates throughout the 10 days. But yeah, she was a lot bigger when we got back. It was crazy.
Do you know that I get harassed and literally like shamed to death when I say TT? Like people here
Really?
in California like do not. I mean, I don't is that like a family thing that we only say because every time I've ever said like that we say TT, people are like, "Oh my god, that's the worst thing I've ever heard."
TT? I feel
Yeah,
like it
cuz
is a Southern thing. Like all of our friends growing up said TT, but I just like in my mind, like
Mom and
mom
dad
always
didn't let
said
us
that.
say P.
Well, mom always said that P was a redneck word.
Can we say that?
Yeah, it's our show.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know, like, I never said we were never allowed to say pee, and, like, what else are you gonna say? Like, I now in, like, my adult life, I do just say, like, "I need to use the restroom," like, "I need to go to the bathroom." 'Cause I'm
Yeah.
not gonna tell everyone what I'm doing in the bathroom, like, I'm not gonna let it be known. But, like, I don't know, I've just been, like, really ridiculed for it lately.
Yeah, I mean, I guess everyone like I don't know. Everyone says it has like a different word, but also like I don't know if it's like a man thing or like a dad thing, but like anytime we would ever go to the bathroom, dad like had to know like what we were doing.
He would be like, "Are you going number 1 or number 2?" And I'm like, "Why does it matter to you?"
But Mario does the same thing. Like why do guys just like have to know? Like why can't you just be satisfied that I'm going to the bathroom?
I Oh my gosh, I am also, like, the most pee shy person, and I will say pee shy,
Oh,
like,
you
I
know
won't say, like,
this.
I'm TT shy, but, like, I'm really pee shy, like, I don't really wanna talk about like, I don't like people to hear me going to the bathroom, like, I don't wanna
No.
hear other people going to the bathroom, and it's getting, like, worse in my older age, I'll say.
My dream situation is when there's a single bathroom with like its own door, not a communal restroom. Like anytime
I
there's a
like
family bathroom, like I'm sorry, I am the girl that's in the family bathroom by myself. Sorry.
I was in the handicap bathroom in the airport on my way home, and, like, I just, like it was so early, I looked absolutely horrible, felt awful, and just, like, was in there 'cause, to be fair, like, the other stalls were full, and it was just, like, the bigger stall, like, in the lineup, and so I'm in there and I also have my bags too, so, like, I have a lot of shit, like, I don't want my stuff, like, all over the floor of the bathroom.
Yeah.
Well, I forgot to lock it, and I was, like, standing up, like, just kinda getting my stuff together, and this woman opens the bathroom, and she has crutches and a brace, and she's like, "Oh, sorry," and I was like, "Oh, no, no, like, I'm leaving," and she was like, "This is the handicap stall, by the way," and I was like, "Okay," I'm, like, feeling a little bit emotionally handicapped right now, like, I need room, and that
Also,
was
you don't
just
know what
really
my
awkward.
handicap is. It's
Yeah,
internal.
like, you can't see everything, and, not that I actually do have a disability, but, like, I wouldn't say, like, you need to call it out like that, and I don't know, it was just and, like, it's embarrassing to be walked in on anyways, like, at least my pants were up, so I was
You were walked in on and shamed.
literally, anyways, that was a long tangent, but I was just thinking about it when you said that Goldie TT'd everywhere, but I'm glad that you're back with her, and I'm sorry if you're listening to this and the word TT makes you wanna, like, drive into a wall. Stay
Yeah.
strong, my friends.
But we're taking Goldie to Oxford next weekend to see Dolly and Honey for the first time. So really excited to see how that goes.
I'm so excited to see how she interacts with her cousins. Like, she's gonna love it. Are they
I
her
think so too.
cousins? Is that what you would call it?
Um, I don't know. Like, what do you call your parents' children and your children? Like, would they be her aunts? That's
Okay, so,
weird.
like, mom and dad fully believe that Goldie are their daughters, so if they were their daughters and you had a child, yeah, they would be her aunt, technically.
That's so weird.
Um, but yeah, I feel like there's a lot to look forward to. Do you have anything else coming up that is fueling your excitement lately?
What do I have coming up? We are putting ourselves on a little bit of a travel probation for the month of April. We went really, really big the past 2 weeks. So yeah, we're gonna be staying put for the time being. But hopefully planning like a couple of day trips and like driving distance trips. But then in May, when we drop Goldie off at training for a month, we are going to take off to Malibu for at least 2 weeks.
Ooh,
So we
yay.
will be coming your way very soon.
I'm so excited for that. I have a lot of exciting things coming up as well. And I feel like when I'm in a funk or like kind of like a little bit of a slump, I need things to look forward to like get me to the next day. Speaking of things that I'm immediately excited about, I am going to see Tyler Childers tonight.
That'll be fun. That's exciting.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Raina got us these tickets for Christmas. Um, and we've just been looking forward to it for months. And he's
Where is he
someone that I
playing?
love. He's playing where we saw Lizzo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So that'll be really great. I actually have a weekend full of like country music, if you will, because Raina also got tickets through her work for an event that's tomorrow called Boots in the Park. I don't know if you remember, I went last year and saw Carrie Underwood.
Oh, that's right. Wow, that was a year
Yes.
ago.
I know. And so this year she got us tickets again. She always gets like VIP tickets. It's really fun. We get to like be so close to the stage. And I honestly don't even know who's headlining this year because like it's not, I'm not a big like the biggest country fan. So I want to say it's Lee Bryce and there was another one. Wait, let me look up the lineup because I don't want to be wrong about
I can't
this.
believe that was a year. I was actually thinking about that the other day. Like, it was more than a year ago that I was in San Diego with mom. Remember when I came for your birthday and like was crying the whole time?
Yeah, that was my birthday. I know it's
Yeah.
crazy. I've been here for a while. Um,
But
but
yeah, I remember. Oh, go ahead.
the headliners for Boots in the Park, I can confirm, are Thomas Rhett, Lee Bryce, Scotty McCreery, who I actually have already seen. I like randomly was at a festival and he was there in Temecula, and Rhett Atkins and Alana Springsteen and Low Cash. So I don't know
Hmm.
a lot about those individuals, but I'm
Wait, is
excited.
Thomas Rhett going by Rhett Atkins now? Is that the same
No,
person?
Thomas Rhett is on here, and then there's someone named, is that Brett Atkins? I'm sorry, I can't read. No, yeah, Rhett Atkins. That's a different person.
But that's his name.
Are you sure? No, these are different people.
Yeah, but
Why would
Thomas
they
Rhett's
put
last name is Atkins.
Rhett Atkins is not Thomas Rhett. This man is not Thomas Rhett. Who is that? This is he
Yeah, they're
thinks
not the
that
same
ain't
person, but they kinda
no.
he looks like an older version. That's really interesting.
He's like one of the opening acts, so I don't think he's like super big. He has okay,
Yeah.
605 that wait. 605,000 monthly listeners. So, I don't know if that's
Okay.
a lot,
Well,
but I digress. It's just going to be a really fun weekend full of a lot of music and a lot of fun. And we just have like a lot of fun things coming up, and I'm really excited about.
that's good. I love that for you. Country music weekend.
Yay. I feel like I'm planning all my outfits and I'm like going to cosplay my Mississippi self all weekend. Like I have these like really cute shirts. I have, I'm going to pull out maybe the cowgirl hat tomorrow. Like I'm just really going to dig
Oh.
into my
Get
roots.
ready for all the California Cowboys.
Exciting. And speaking, I'm also looking forward to in the future is that we are going on a trip to Belize soon, which is really exciting. We're doing our adult spring break in Belize, and we're just going to be there for like a full week. And then I'm going to get my tropical feel that I need to experience.
I love that. It honestly is life changing. Like, I don't know what it is, like sun or something, but I came back to Nashville like so calm. Like I felt just like even though I had a lot of catching up to do this week and like a lot going on like with my business and all of the things, I had this like weird sense of calm like all week. Just like, you know, what it like really focusing on the important things and just I felt like very fulfilled after my trips, just like being with people that I loved and beautiful places and I just felt kind of like you did, like very restored, rejuvenated, like really putting things into perspective. Because I think when you're like doing the same thing and like in the nitty gritty every day, like you can kind of just get like really deep down into it. And so it was nice to just kind of like swap my perspective a little bit.
Absolutely. I love that.
But speaking of work, we have been on the go nonstop, and we have not even had a chance to address on the podcast what we have been up to.
Allie and I have been hustling for months. And a lot of that hustling has been undisclosed because we are working on this big project and it's been really exciting. It's why I went to Nashville a couple weeks ago. But yes, so as you guys know, Allie launched Wildflower in the fall, which is a marketing company. And I came on in the beginning of this year as a social media director. And we've been like fucking working. That's one thing I
We
will
have
say.
been. We have really been hitting the ground hard. Yeah, so I started Wildflower really just offering traditional marketing, public relations services, email marketing, but then quickly realized that a lot of the clients I was working with really needed that social piece too. And so that's just not my background at all. And so, thinking about how I wanted to grow this company, and it just made sense to bring on someone to do social media, so that we could offer kind of a comprehensive marketing package. And so, obviously, you and I have worked together for a long time doing this, and so we really know how to work together. We know each other's strengths and weaknesses, and so it feels like it's just a natural kind of progression, and it's been so seamless, I feel like.
Yeah, you had to call in the big dog. And honestly, I would be upset if you hired a different social media director that wasn't me. But it honestly just aligned really perfectly because a lot of you know, like I was working a different kind of freelance social media job with a company here. That like I randomly met this man on a plane. It was an amazing job, it was an amazing position, and I loved it. However, I was having to go into an office like 2 days a week. And as much as I loved it and I learned so much, they were starting to experience some changes in like structure. And I was starting to experience some changes like internally because I was just like, have always made it this goal to like not really be tied down by anything and to really work for myself. And so while that was an amazing bridge job and really got me to where I am right now and gave me a really good purpose in San Diego, I feel like everything just aligned so well and I knew it would. Like when I was super nervous about leaving that position, I remember like praying about it and talking about it with you guys and I was like, I don't know what's next for me and just trusting in God's plan for my life and it being for good. And then this kind of just like naturally occurred that you started needing social help and I just jumped right aboard. Like I literally think I was like in between jobs for one day. Like I remember you called me like the next day and I was like, "Oh great. I was only like unsure for 24 hours."
Yeah, yeah, the timing was just so kismet.
I feel like that's something that we talk about a lot, but like just to reiterate like the importance of having an open mind for what's coming next because I feel like a lot of people stay in positions they don't want to be in because they're afraid of like what will happen if I walk from it. And like that job was such a good opportunity and I was getting paid so well and I learned a lot, but like if I wouldn't have had the courage to kind of step away from that, I would never have fallen into this?
Yeah. Totally. I think, especially like as an entrepreneur, like you don't know what the future looks like. Like you don't know what clients you're going to get, how much you're going to be making. And so it's been a lesson for me too. And just staying open to how things evolve, like I'm totally open to like, this is what we're doing now and the business might change in the future. And it's just kind of like letting it happen and take that natural progression. Yeah, and something that you and I have always been really passionate about is like entrepreneurship. We've always been hustlers and we love those types of people as well. We just tend to gravitate towards them. So getting to work with other founders and brands that are just starting up has been what we set out to do, and like really helping guide those people and those brands and helping them amplify their mission and message and products, whatever it is, has just really been a lot of fun, and I've really been enjoying it, and it's been a lot of fun to work with you because we bring very different perspectives to the table.
I would say that we work better together in Wildflower than we do for the podcast because obviously we've been doing this for a long time and we've ironed out most of the kinks, but like we do argue sometimes about the podcast, like because we're kind of doing the same thing here. Like we're both like co-hosting and it's a lot of the same thing, which wait, but in contrast, at Wildflower, like we're so separate and we're doing like what we're so good at. You taking the whole marketing and PR side, I'm doing social media, and it's like we only really like overlap to like discuss our sides.
Yeah,
And so
that
I
is
feel
so
like it's
true.
such a seamless kind of flow because we're doing our own thing, but then it's so nice because it can be hard to work with family, and people ask us that a lot. And we talked about this in Amy's episode, but it's also kind of nice because, like, I can talk to you about anything, and it's like I'm not having to call a coworker and talk to them about, like, you know, what's going on.
Yeah, totally. And I feel like that's so true because, yeah, the podcast is different. Also, it's not like our livelihood either. Like, we're not trying to live off of this, but, the stakes
Mhm.
are higher with Wildflower. And it is true. Like, we both have our avenues where we shine. I've learned a lot from working with you. I'm sure you've learned a lot from working with me. And also, like, something that we talked about in the very beginning was how do we separate like our personal relationship from our work relationship? And like, yes, we talk about work, but also like that's not all we talk about. And it's really kind of like time and place of like, hey, I'm in work mode, or like, I'm ready to talk about this, and like really kind of establishing those boundaries. What are you laughing at?
Like Allie and I had like a little work call this morning, and then I like did what I needed to do, and then I called her back 5 minutes later, like bawling, crying, and I was like, I need to talk to you about this. And it's just so
I
funny
need to
how
talk to you as
quickly
a
we
sister.
yeah, I said, I need some sisterly guidance. And like, it's so funny how we flip flop because, like, the first call, it's like, okay, do you see that? Okay, can you like get this? Okay, like, do you understand? I'm sending you over this. And then, like, literally 5 minutes later, I'm calling you. It's like a whole different, like, I just like flip into like sister mode. And I feel like we
Yeah.
did a good job, like you said, establishing those boundaries from the beginning. And I think doing the podcast has been really great because, like, we know how we work. Like, our
Hmm.
working styles are really different. Our communication styles are really different, and we kind of are more in a flow with it than if we had like never worked together before.
Yeah. I feel like it could have gone like one or two ways, like really horrendously, and it would have lasted like all of 2 weeks. But I think because we had the experience doing the podcast, like we're able to really work well together and communicate effectively.
Yeah, and I just knew that, this was something that we were so aligned with, and like I really did see this being something that could be really big. So I was like on my best behavior and have been on my best behavior, and I feel like it's working out really well.
I can tell you're on your best behavior when it comes to work, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me. Like, I'm not a corporate girly. Like, I'm having to navigate like these new things, like Google Calendar invites and like spreadsheets and stuff.
And learning what a
But
quarter is.
oh yeah, that I didn't even know that people were operating like that. The Q1, I was like, what the fuck is Q1? I was like, I mean, I'm still operating in like semesters. Like,
I was like, for like
seriously?
Q1 editorial calendar, and she was like, "Wait, what? What is Q1?"
Are there four Qs? Are there
Yes,
four
there's
okay, oh my god, of course
divide
there's
the
four
year into
quarters.
quarters. There are 4 quarters.
Oh my god, that was so
People are not
bad.
gonna hire us.
Well, that's why we have like it just flows because, like, Allie's
Yeah,
taking care of all of that, and I'm just over here making reels.
yeah, pretty much.
It's fun. And also I think that we like definitely balance each other really well because, like, there's some things like you get kind of fixated on and frustrated about, and I'm like, it's fine, it's chill. And you're like, okay. And there's some things that I'm like, it's fine, it's chill. And Allie's like, no, like it's not chill, it needs to be done. And it
Yeah,
helps me a lot.
yeah. I think we've both helped each other a lot.
So what would you say are my best strength? Okay, what's my best strength and my best weakness as a business partner? I want to hear it now that I
Okay.
tell you yours.
Okay, great. I think that one of your best strengths is like you humanize everything. Like you're very like warm and approachable to clients. Like, you're really relatable. I think people really like mesh with you well. Like I think that you can really like kind of enter any like group or situation and just kind of like make people feel at ease, which is good. I also think you are, I mean, clearly you're very good at social media and like, putting the content together. I think you need a little help when it comes to like the strategy and like planning. But like once we figure all that out, like you just kind of go on your own, which is really great and helpful because I don't really want anything to do with that part. Um, and yeah, I think that you have a lot of strengths that you bring to the table.
Okay, but what's my weakness?
I think your weakness is like not knowing what quarters are. No, I think it's just like not having the experience of working in like an office or like agency or like corporate setting, which is,
Yeah.
fine. I think that's just part of like the learning piece of it. But I think that like when you and I are working on a client project together, like I definitely bring like the organization and strategy piece, and then you bring like the creativity and the execution when it comes to like anything social media.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say for your strength. It's definitely like your leadership abilities are so good, and like you can just get shit done. Like you know, lead. Like it was especially hard for me in the beginning when we started doing meetings with clients because I'm like, I don't even know how this works. Like I was sitting there like, what is appropriate to say and not to say right now? So I'm just not gonna really say anything. And Allie like just took the reins and took charge, and then like by you being such a good leader, it's made me feel more confident on like how I can lead. And so like I remember the first time you were like, okay, like, you know, Bird will take it. And then Allie has to correct herself every time because you always call me Bird on the
I
meetings
know.
and the
Yeah.
clients are like, who the fuck is Bird? But she's like, okay, Sarah Carolyn's going to take this one. I'm like shaking in my boots, but I just remember like what you do. And then I try to like make it work. Um, and yeah, you're just such a good leader. And you're definitely like, I love the way that you structured Wildflower from the start, from like me joining in, because we were in Nashville and we were doing like obviously our photo shoot and stuff, but we also had like sit down work sessions the whole time I was there. And instead of just being like, okay, like what are the goals? Like how much money are we going to make? Like, you know, what are we going to do? It was very much like, what do we want this business to feel like? Like, what are our intentions? How do we want to treat each other? And I feel like that really helped us kind of like start out on such a good foot. And then we kind of had it all in writing. So when we go back on it and, you know, we can say like, you know, these are our jobs and these are our roles. And so I think that is a really good strength that you have as being a leader. And I feel like you've learned that from having like a lot of good leaders in your life and a lot of like shitty leaders in your life. And you've taken like
Yeah.
the good and bad from that and just become great. Weakness, I would say,
Thank you, Bert. That's so kind. I really
you're
appreciate that.
welcome.
Also, like, that's why it's nice to not be in business on your own, I will say, because it's just really nice to have someone else to help, like, validate and lift you up when you're feeling down or, like, you know, reassure you that you actually did sound really smart on a call when you think you might have sounded incredibly dumb, you know? Like, it's just
Yeah,
good to have
that's the
that
good thing
cheerleader.
about being sisters is we are each other's biggest cheerleaders. And I can literally text Allie like while we're on the call, I'm like, did that sound fucking dumb? And she's like, no, sounds good. And like that'd be really weird if I was texting like a coworker that. And so um it's just, and I'm so somebody like I need so much validation and like so much like affirmation because I'm really fueled by that. And, you know, I can give it to myself all day, but hearing someone else say, like, you're doing a great job, like, you're just like, it means a lot to me. Like, you'll text me, like, this is looking great. And I'm like, oh, thanks. And,
See, I know that about you. That's why I do it because I know that you were just like, I know you like the back of my hand. Like, I know that you need that boost. And so it's just like knowing each other so well. It's like you know what the other
yeah,
person needs.
I think like, you know, you need that, like, but you're like so like self assured. Like, yeah, you're like, fuck yeah, I'm doing a great job. Like, I'm killing it. I know this. And, but like everyone needs affirmation and
Yeah.
validation. Like, everyone needs a pat on the back. Everyone needs encouragement. Even your like hard ass coworkers that you guys work with, or like your siblings or your parents, like your boyfriends, like everyone needs affirmation. And it just like changes people's moods so quickly.
I
And I
feel
feel
like
like
I
we're good
do
about
need
that.
affirmation though, like, you know, maybe in a different way than you do, but like a lot of the times I always struggle with feeling like I'm not doing enough or like I'm not performing enough or like getting enough done. Like, and it's just nice to have like you or Mario, even because he sees it, to just be like, hey, you're doing a great job. Like your clients are telling you you're doing great. Like you have no reason to believe that you're not.
Yeah, definitely. Like I feel like you need more affirmation like the like productivity side of things, and
Mhm.
I'm more like, okay, like we're going to end the day now. Like we're good. Like we did what we needed to do. Um
Yeah.
and yeah, I
But
think you have a lot of strengths.
what were my weaknesses that you were gonna say?
You're like, what were my weaknesses? Just say it. I just think maybe a weakness, like a group weakness, cuz I'm trying to think of your like specific. I think you're like a some okay. I would say one of your specific weaknesses is like the productivity thing and like, you know, how much you like to get done, because I think that you end up like kind of shooting yourself in the foot because you're like, I'm trying to do it all instead of like kind of breaking it up. So you end up kind of like overworking yourself and getting stressed out. And then you have to take a mental health day. And that's really tough that's one thing that's really tough when we're working together, because if somebody needs a mental health day, needs to like pull out, you're like, whoa, 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 what? like, like one day, Allie and I had like 4 calls lined up. We had all this shit that was due, and Allie was like, I can't do it today. I need a mental health day, which is completely valid. But she called the mental health day like 5 minutes before our first meeting. And I was like, and it was just a meeting of like us two. So it wasn't like we were like canceling on clients and stuff. But then I was like, I was so thrown because like my day was like, so yeah. I think it's just like how hard you are on yourself because you're such a hard
Yeah.
worker. And that can be a weakness sometimes, but it's also a great strength. And then the weakness as a collective is just like our different work ethic and like our different work styles and our styles of
Mhm.
communication. Because sometimes Allie texts me and like what you send is like, I can't do this right now, period. But what my brain reads it as is like, I hate you and I'm never gonna do it and I don't like you. Bye. Blocked. And I'm like, ah.
Oh my god. Yeah, that is true. Cause like and I've had to like really tailor my communication because I mean, if you'll notice in the emails I send you, like I always like start with a greeting and like add an exclamation point. Which is
And then
funny.
I just reply back and I'm like, okay, sounds good. Like I try to like mirror, I don't know. Cause like I mean we just have
Um,
so much going on. Like I know what you mean now. You just don't have time sometimes to add like all the
yeah,
fluff.
you just don't have time for the fluff. But yeah, and I'm glad that you mentioned like the way we started was very intentional about like the feeling and the types of clients we wanted to bring on. And like we really did not focus on the money piece of it. And that is something that does not come natural to me. Like I've really had to do a lot of work to get there. Um, because, you know, I feel like a lot of the times like I'm driven by like scarcity and like fear around money. And that is one of the best things I have learned from Mario is just like that money comes and goes and like that's okay. And it's the energy and the intention and how you want to feel that, you know, you really have to focus on. And that all of that will come. Like as long as you're creating and doing something that you love, like the money will come, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm like so on the opposite end of that. I'm like delusional as fuck. I'm like, I'm a millionaire. My shirt right now says future millionaire. That's what my tank top says. If you're watching this on our YouTube, just because like I have always felt like money just flows and in and out, but like it's scary when you're doing your own thing because you have no one guaranteeing you a salary, no one's guaranteeing you a paycheck, no one's even now like but I think it's because of my background being in the influencer game for so long. It's like I've never had a consistent salary. And I know that one
Yeah.
month could be like shit and the next month could be like, off the chain. So I think that I kind of have a different relationship with it. And that is something that I'm glad we didn't go into it with the expectation of like, by Q whatever, we're going to have this much money. Like, I just want to have a good time.
Yeah, and we are having a good time, which is really fun. And yeah, I think maybe our energy kind of balances each other out because I've learned a lot from you and from Mario. I think, you know, I've really tried to surround myself with people who have a really kind of good energetic relationship to money. And I can see how it's affected me. Like I feel like in a positive way. And yeah, so I have also learned that from you. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, I will say one thing that was very unexpected to me is how quickly we got so busy. Like I was just like, yeah, we're gonna launch this. Like I'm coming on, and it'll take a while to like get acclimated. Like it'll take a while to get clients. And like, thank you, Lord Jesus Christ, that like that wasn't the case because it's better, in this kind of situation to be like busier than you expected. But like I kind of hit the ground running when I joined the team. Like it was, and the team is Allie. Like it was like I had maybe one day to be like, yay. And then it was just like, go time.
Yeah, and you know, there were a lot of things that I'd planned for us to do, like being really strategic in the way that we have like our processes laid out and like the organization side of the business. And all of that just kind of like got pushed to the back burner because we really did just like jump right in. And I already had like clients I was working with, but also like adding social media just kind of like ramped everything up. Um, but I think like one of the biggest things that I've really taken away from this whole experience is like the glamorization of entrepreneurship and like women in business and like starting your own thing. Like, I just want everyone out there to know like it is so glamorized on social media. It is insane. Like, it is not always like working from a beautiful coffee shop, having an aesthetic morning, like sipping your coffee. Like, sometimes, like, I had Zoom hair today. Like, the back of my hair right now is a disaster. But the front looks kind of okay because I literally only curled the front. And like
That's
some
so
days it's just
true.
like that, you know? Like some days you were just running on fumes.
Yeah, and let us just be the first to tell you that having your own business and working for yourself is fucking difficult and it takes a lot of hard work. And I think that people fail to show that, especially on social media. Like
Mhm.
it's so easy to be like, hee hee, like I made $1 million, like the clients, and like they're not showing when they're like bawling, crying, like working so hard. There's times where I've been up at like 2 a.m. trying to finish some things I didn't feel creative until it's like, it's just like there's a lot that goes into it and it's definitely a struggle. So don't feel like invalid for struggling. Like everyone
Yeah.
struggles. Even the most successful people, they've probably struggled the most.
Like I've had to unfollow a lot of people honestly that I had like kind of looked up to and admired in the entrepreneur space because I'm just like the things that you post just are not realistic. Like I know you are not just feeling so calm and aesthetic every day. Like, there are times where I'm like, just barely making a cup of coffee and like getting on my dining room table, like getting to my dining room table in the morning.
I
So, it's not always pretty.
definitely. And we've learned that. But I also think that, with all the hard work, you definitely do see a lot of, you reap the benefits. And that's what we've gotten to do with like our amazing clients and just kind of the workload that we have so far. Like, I'm pretty sure we're going to have to start expanding at some point very soon. And that's like the number one comment I get every time I post about Wildflower. People are like, are you guys hiring? Like, are you hiring? Probably soon because
I definitely want to keep it tight as long as we possibly can because, just like, when you bring people on, it's more resources that have to go out. And also, like, we have such a good thing going right now that I definitely want to keep it manageable. I don't know how long that will like last, but we'll see. Right now, it feels good.
yeah, I mean, with social media, I think there's just only so much you can take on, like as a person. I wish I could copy myself like 8 times because then we could have like 400 clients. Um,
Yeah.
but it's so it's such a gift and a blessing to have that growth so quickly from launching to now. So because we had
Yeah. It's
clients before
definitely,
we even announced that we were working together, we just
yeah,
couldn't
we
find
really
time
did.
to announce it.
Seriously, we had to be like, "Oh shit, we haven't even posted about this yet." But I mean, yeah, and as tough and hard as it is sometimes, like the benefits outweigh all of that any day for me. And I think it just kind of depends on the person and like who you are and what you value. But for me, it's like not having to do anything on anyone else's timeline or like anyone else's schedule besides my own. And like, yes, of course, we answer to clients, but at the end of the day, like it's our show that we're running. That just means everything.
Hmm. And I'm really grateful that like I have you as someone to look up to because, doing this, getting the ability to having the ability to do this when I'm 25 is incredible. And I feel like you've kind of just like paved the way for that. And it's just, yeah, it's a great experience and I'm really grateful for it. And I'm really excited for everything that's coming up in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are so many things that we want to do with Wildflower, with Go Call Your Sister, like so many opportunities that we just need, like you said, to clone ourselves. But we will get there. And I think like the most important thing that I've really been focusing on this year is just staying open to things and like letting them change and evolve and just kind of letting go of the reins, even though it's so hard sometimes, and just knowing that things won't always be the same and things will look different. And, maybe this business transitions to something completely different. Maybe we're making flower bouquets in the future. Like, who knows? But just, letting things just come and go as they might.
Yeah, that's such a mentality that I've really been working on lately because I'm such a control person. Like I grip things and people like and outcomes so tightly. And so I've really had to learn just to like let the fuck go and like just let it happen and let it unfold. And, I think the best things in life come to you. And we've seen this like time and time again when you're open to it and you're just flowing with life instead of trying to swim upstream and go against it. Um, and so that's super true. And I think that's a mentality that's important to have, like just in all aspects of life.
Yeah. I think it's definitely something that we can both work towards. And before we get off, like, I just want to say I have had so many people reach out to me about Wildflower that have said they heard from us or heard about us through, someone that we've known along the way or someone that listens to our podcast. And it just means the world. And like, it just goes to show, like, you never know, like, where connections are going to come from or where leads might come from. And just like, thank you to everyone that has shared about our podcast, our business, like the support that we've received, like is so amazing. And I just hope that we can be as supportive to other businesses and other women that are doing their thing. That's something that I really want to prioritize because I've been on the receiving end of it, especially recently. And I just feel so grateful.
Yeah, I feel like the most powerful thing you can do is like speaking other people's names in rooms where they're not in, and putting people forward for opportunities. And it's such a powerful thing. And I think when you're operating in that level also, like I'm excited for my friends and I want to like, promote them and put them out there. Like it comes back to you as well. And so I try to do that as much as I can because it really is just like the most meaningful thing. When someone tells me that like they want me to do a deal or they want me to like come on to work with them as a client and they've been told by a friend, like it literally makes me want to cry. It's like one of the best compliments.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the homework for this week. Just like go promote someone or something that's doing something really cool. Whoever it is. Maybe it's us, maybe it's not, maybe it's someone else. And, just spread the word.
Yeah, leave a review on our podcast.
Yeah,
And that'd be
speaking of,
it.
actually leave a review and just share the podcast.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that we got to take some time to talk about Wildflower. I feel like that was just kind of something that like happened and then we just like were like moving forward and we had been bulk recording episodes, so it wasn't like super timely, but I'm glad we got to just kind of like just share and just kind of give you guys a look into what we've been doing lately, and we're excited to see how it develops.
Definitely. I always love catching up with you and I can't wait to hear about your weekend, and I'm counting down the days until I see you.
Can't wait. We love you guys so much. We're so happy to be back with you this week. Don't worry, it will not happen again anytime soon. And we'll see you guys next week for our dad advice episode. This is really
Yeah.
important. We have our dad coming back on the podcast to do some dad advice. So stay tuned for our stories this week, or just send us a DM of any dad advice you want him to answer. It's going to be a really fun one. And I'm super excited.
Absolutely. Thank you for listening, and we will be back with you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh my God, who are those from?
Me.
Allie! Oh my gosh. Oh, Allie, these are so beautiful. Were you texting her that? Oh my gosh. I was like, what do you need?
Well, I didn't know. I knew you were podcasting, so I didn't know if I should bring them in during it and like surprise you, but I didn't want to like interrupt.
So sweet. Thank
I didn't
you,
see your
Allie.
text until just now. Thanks,
I'm
Perry.
gonna
Perry
cry.
recommended
They're
the
so
florist.
beautiful.
They're so beautiful.
Allie, I'm
Yeah.
gonna cry. Thank you.
They're so pretty.
Beautiful.
You're welcome.
Oh my God. I'm gonna take a picture.